Hamada, tema 5.
Just talking about blogs in general. If on the one hand there's like very niche specific interests, and on the other side there's very broad. So I would use the example of like a basketball blog. If basketball is a very broad idea, and a very specific idea might be like vintage basketball jerseys from like the 70s. Like if my website's only about that, that's a very niche idea. I think like in order to like find an audience for a site, you sort of need to like bring your idea a couple degrees in from either side. So if it's like not just vintage basketball jerseys from the 70s, but maybe 2 degrees less is like vintage sports memorabilia or something. So it's a little bit bigger than that very specific audience. Or if it's like not basketball, it's a little bit less big than basketball. It's like high school basketball. Because the pros and cons of each side is like if I started a website today about basketball that's so broad, there'd be zero chance of me having a page in Google results for like the first like 20 pages because there's just so much content. At the same time, the audience is really big. Like a lot of people like basketball, so I have that as a positive. And then on the other end, there's sort of the exact opposite where it's like if I started a website about vintage basketball jerseys from the 70s, I'd have a very good chance of after a year being like one of the top sites for that specific thing. The only problem is there's way less people that care about that specific thing. So let's say like my end goal is to have a site about basketball as a really broad idea. I could start, a couple degrees smaller and really work on it for a couple of years. At like high school, basketball is my focus. Even if eventually I want to move back to the more broad topic, or even if I want to move to a more narrow topic, I think like you have to like hit a sweet spot of like an interest that enough people care about, but without so much already about it on the internet, and then you can sort of like find your audience, whether it's way bigger or way smaller. That's only speaking in terms of like if you want to turn it into like a job or like have some sort of like live off of it or something.